In the beginning of the episode we hear Hiraku's voice as he says that trouble always arrives without warning. Then we see him staring up at the floating castle. In the next scene, Tia tells him that it's heading toward them, so she's been keeping an eye on it because she doesn't know whether anyone lives inside it or not. A moment later, some kind of demon projector appears in front of Hiraku, Lu, and Tia. The figure introduces himself, saying, "I am Great Kazudin, and the castle above you belongs to me. Now you have no way out." Hearing this, Hiraku asks, "So that means this is our enemy, right?" Tia replies that it certainly seems that way. We then see Hiraku summon his spear and launch an attack at the floating castle, breaking off some of the rocks underneath it. He's about to attack again when Kazudin suddenly apologizes and starts begging for forgiveness. In the next scene, Kazudin explains that the floating castle is called Sun Castle. He says that 1,000 years ago, during the war between humans and demons, Sun Castle was the home of the demigods who fought on humanity's side. Kazudin then explains that after a long war, his people drove the demigods away and took control of the castle. He himself is a descendant of those demons who once lived there. Hiraku asks why he was suddenly coming toward their village. Kazudin answers that he honestly doesn't know. The castle moves on its own, and according to an ancient pact, it automatically announces its intention to help humans. Seeing that as an opportunity, Kazudin declared war on them. After apologizing once again, Kazudin falls silent. Hiraku then explains that the castle is filled with monsters, so if they attack it recklessly, all of those monsters could start falling from the sky. The others suggest that they should go inside and find a way to control the castle instead. Tia then tells Hiraku to leave the investigation to them because controlling it may require angels. Hiraku asks why. Tia explains that her people were once known as demigods. Confused, Hiraku asks why they changed their name. Tia looks at him and says that it's because the ancient angels thought the name sounded too arrogant. In the next scene, we see them split into two teams. One team is going to enter the castle from above, while the other will enter from below. Both teams then head toward the castle, and Hiraku stays behind, sitting at the usual table because there isn't really anything else for him to do. After a while, Hiraku notices smoke rising from the castle, and explosions start going off around the lower sections of it. A little later, Urza and the Beastmen children arrive. Urza asks Hiraku what he's doing, and he replies that he's directing the operation from there. Hearing that, she points out that he doesn't look very busy. In the next scene, we see Hiraku playing games with them, and Urza ends up winning. After that, they immediately start another round. While they're playing, Hiraku keeps noticing more explosions happening throughout the castle. Before long, evening arrives, and everyone finally returns from their mission. Kazudin is with them as well. As soon as he arrives, he once again apologizes to Hiraku. In the next scene, everyone is gathered around eating dinner. Kazudin joins them and tries some rice balls. He absolutely loves them because, up until now, he had been living almost entirely on potatoes. When Hiraku hears that Kazudin has been eating nothing but potatoes since childhood, he gives him even more food. Kazudin then says that he would like to bring some of this food back to his people as well. Hearing that, Hiraku hands over an entire crate of food. A little later, Hiraku asks Tia how things are going inside the castle. She tells him that the situation is much more complicated than they expected, so it's going to take some time. Kazudin then comments that it's because they have demigods helping them. Tia immediately gets annoyed and reminds him that they already talked about that, so he should call them by the proper name. Looking completely terrified, Kazudin quickly corrects himself and refers to them as angels instead, saying that the age of demigods is over. After that, we move on to day 2 of the Sun Castle campaign. This time, we see Hiraku working with strawberries. He wonders if he can make crepes using jam and cream. While he's experimenting, Beelzebub arrives. He tells Hiraku that he heard some sort of battle might be taking place, so he came to check on the situation. Soon afterward, the two of them are sitting together drinking tea. Beelzebub enjoys it a lot, especially because Hiraku mixed some strawberry jam into it. Then Hiraku asks him whether the castle belongs to the demon kingdom. Beelzebub tells him that it doesn't, but the people there are still their enemies. He goes on to explain that there are many demons living outside the demon kingdom as well. After that, we see Beelzebub leaving, and he takes that jam with him. In the next scene, Hakuren and Lasty signal to Hiraku. Hakuren points toward a specific location and tells him to attack there. Hiraku immediately throws his spear at that spot, and a section of the structure supporting the castle is destroyed. A little later, Hakuren comes down to pick Hiraku up. We then see him riding on her back as they head toward the castle. As soon as he gets close, Hiraku notices that the air feels different. He figures that some kind of magic is probably being used to control the air around the castle and keep it floating in the sky. When he finally arrives, the place looks like an old abandoned structure. He makes his way to the entrance plaza, where there is a large lobby. There, Hiraku spots two demons. The moment they notice him, they suddenly start acting. A small demon girl is desperately trying to protect a monster she keeps as a pet, while a larger demon insists that they can't continue living with a monster. Seeing this, Hiraku tells them that it's fine and agrees to let the little girl keep the monster as her pet. Hearing that, she becomes very happy. Hiraku then realizes that they are probably scared to talk to him because everyone has been destroying the monsters throughout the castle. A little later, Kazudin arrives and asks Hiraku to follow him to the throne room. In the next scene, we see them inside the throne room. At the center of the room is a crystal. Kazudin tells Hiraku that he is now their new king. Hiraku is surprised to discover that the crystal can actually talk. Kazudin explains that it is basically a spirit responsible for controlling the castle. Hiraku asks Kazudin why he can't simply tell the spirit what to do himself. Kazudin explains that before the spirit accepts any orders, it first has to recognize someone as its leader. Hiraku then asks the crystal for its name. The crystal replies that the person asking should introduce themselves first. So Hiraku tells the crystal his own name. After hearing it, the crystal responds by saying that. The crystal then introduces itself by saying, "I am the Sun Castle." Hiraku asks if it can allow the angels to take control of the castle. The crystal looks at them and replies that he has demigods with him as well. The moment Tia and Gran Maria hear that, they both punch the crystal and immediately correct it, saying that they are angels and that demigods no longer exist. After seeing their reaction, the crystal finally acknowledges them as angels. It then evaluates everyone present. The crystal concludes that Hiraku and the others are incredibly strong, dangerous, and terrifying, while Kazudin is much weaker and far safer. Because of that, it chooses Kazudin as the new king and immediately completes the registration process so that the decision cannot be changed afterward. In the next scene, Sun Castle explains to Hiraku that whenever dragons gather together with the Dragon Maiden, an ancient pact allows the castle to lend its power to them. Hiraku then asks whether that pact is still active. The castle replies that it is no longer necessary and can now be abandoned. That means the castle will no longer continue heading toward their village. After that, everyone begins exploring the castle. While looking around, Hiraku comments that the castle is enormous, but the farmland inside it is not very good. He also explains that the demons live in only one section of the castle, and because of their difficult living conditions, they have become very weak. Hiraku tells Kazudin that he will ask Lasty and Hakuren to send food supplies to the castle. A little later, some dream demons appear. These demons survive by feeding on the love found within the dreams of other demons. As they continue exploring, Hiraku asks about all the structures spread throughout the castle. Lasty explains that there are many buildings there, almost like a complete city or town. Hakuren then points out a broken fountain as well as several dried-up ponds. Hiraku goes on to explain that in the past, the demons used monster eggs to defend the castle and launch attacks against their enemies. However, Lasti and her group ended up defeating all of those monsters. While exploring, Hiraku starts wondering how the castle is actually able to float in the sky. He figures that there must be something underneath it that's responsible for keeping it airborne. Later, we see Hiraku, Lu, and Tia arrive at what appears to be a dead end. Something about the place feels strange to Hiraku. As he looks around, he notices a vase sitting there, and it immediately catches his attention because it seems very unusual. Then Hiraku moves the vase slightly, and a hidden doorway to a secret room opens. He enters the room and finds several books inside. Other than that, it appears to be a very simple room. While looking around, Hiraku notices another vase. When he moves it, a gate opens in the entrance plaza. Even then, Hiraku still feels that something is off. He wonders why anyone would use the same mechanism repeatedly when it would be so easy for someone to figure it out. With that in mind, he turns the vase in a different direction. As soon as he does, the floor beneath him starts descending like an elevator. It carries him down to a hidden area where he finds a girl waiting there. She introduces herself by saying, "My name is Belle Fogum. I am the chief assistant to the ruler of Sun Castle. You can think of me as the person in charge of the castle." Hiraku asks her about the crystal in the throne room that calls itself Sun Castle. Belle explains that the crystal is only a substitute. She then tells Hiraku that after overcoming countless hardships to reach this place, he is now worthy of receiving the Sword of the Sun. Calling him a hero, she presents the sword and declares that it now belongs to him. Belle then explains that the demon lord's weakness is the scales on his back. Hearing this, Hiraku immediately tells her that she has misunderstood the situation because he is not a hero. Belle replies that she already knows that. However, according to the prophecy, a hero would eventually arrive there, and since Hiraku has reached this place, he must be that hero. Hiraku responds by saying that he has no intention of defeating the demon lord. Belle tells him that he can do whatever he wants, but he should still take the sword. She explains that she was forced into this position long ago, and by accepting the sword, he will finally free her from her duty. She practically begs him to take it. Hiraku then asks if it would be fine even if he destroyed the sword. Belle immediately replies that it would. So Hiraku takes the sword. Belle thanks him and reveals that she has been trapped there for thousands of years. After that, Hiraku uses his almighty farming tool to turn the Sword of the Sun into mud. He says that he has no desire to possess a weapon whose sole purpose is to kill someone he personally knows. At first, he thinks that destroying such an important artifact right in front of Belle would probably upset her. However, when he looks at her reaction, he realizes that she doesn't seem bothered at all. Seeing that, Hiraku concludes that she must have genuinely hated her job all this time. That's it for today. Like and subscribe for more. See you in the next one.